back to the Hawks and Masters podcast. Today we have a very, I gotta say very so many times.
Get it right.
Not very, two more. Very special guest, TT Superfly.
Come on.
Type again.
Come on. Good to have you here. It's a pleasure and an honour.
Thank you.
Welcome. Obviously, we got my dude here to the right, Mr. Hawks.
Hello everyone again, nice to see you.
And our resident panelist, Mr. Adrian Albert.
See that?
You went gym today. Well done, Adrian.
He's feeling head.
Let him have his moment.
Stop it, man. Get too much.
Alright, chill, bro.
And this is a good segue to our first topic. Toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. Is being a single parent a trend? I picked this one. But we'll get into it when we get into it. And why is there a lack of trust between the community and the police? But let's start off with toxic masculinity. I'm gonna pass it over to my boy Jono because
Right, I chose this one. I'm really glad you guys are on board with this one. It's been on my mind the past couple of weeks. Toxic masculinity, I mean, I'm going to ask you, Adrian, for example. I'm going to ask you, Titi, you know, what is it to you? And how do you deal with it? So to me, toxic masculinity is certain men acting in a way that they feel they have to prove their manhood, which is something I've struggled with. When I was younger, I just want to get into a fight with people like this. When you get guys on their own, they like to sort of say things like, oh, you know, yeah, I slept with this bird, I slept with that bird, and it's like, but you got a bird at home, and there's just this kind of bravado. It's like an insecurity, and I just wanted to talk to you a lot about it and see what you make of it. Really, like, what is it? Titi, we'll start with you, ladies first. I mean, what is toxic masculinity to you, and how do you find it?
I take time with my energy, so when there's men, I'm going to call them men, that exhibit this sort of false alpha, and you know, especially, like, I'm a tall girl, so I come like an Amazonian, I tower over a lot of people.
Fantastic.
Do you get it? So there's some times where I can see that you're trying to, you know, do peacock and pigeon chest and
This is it.
That's it.
I like to let people live their movie, but keep that energy over there, because I get disrespectful very quickly. You know, just keep it a $1.50 and.
So there's like a time limit then?
Yeah, like once my nostrils start flaring, I take off my glasses. It's a problem. So
Okay.
I'm like, and I get it. So it's, for some people, it's I don't know, it's a performance.
This is it.
It's a performance, and it's like, you know, just Hercules from the corner, do your thing.
As a woman, why do you think men, have you experienced it a lot?
It's from the caveman times.
Yeah, this is what you were saying, Roger. Like, it is, but in this day and age, it just seems a bit pathetic, but it's still you see it on the TV, you see it everywhere. I think it's an insecurity. Do you agree?
I agree, it's an insecurity, but you have to let people work through that.
It's like a projection of their insecurity as well. See, as guys, how have you dealt with someone being toxic, but in addition, them trying to show that bravado? Now, I've met you, I've known you for a while now, actually, and I can only imagine, because when we've been out, you know, it's been pleasant, and luckily there's not been these toxic people, or these people who think they're bad, or whatever you're going to say, right? So,
not even that, there hasn't been. But you know, when you're in with a certain group or around a certain energy,
yes,
it doesn't matter as much, or you just don't notice it as much, or you just don't penny it as much. That's more what it is. When you're around toxic masculine energy, you're gonna be more open to engaging with toxic masculine energy. So you know what I'm trying to say? Toxic masculinity to me is a tacky one, because I feel like I grew up feeling like it was a normal way of being. You get what I'm trying to say? A lot of my male influences, not so much family, but male influences in terms of people that I actually looked up to, or people that I actually had around me, were toxic in terms of how they thought and how they behaved and stuff. Do you get me? So I get what you're saying. Toxic masculinity almost kept me safe up until I was old enough to understand that it's not going to take me any further.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? So at some point, I don't know what makes it toxic. I guess it's toxic when it affects the other people. Do you get what I mean? But when you're doing it, I don't think people are doing it necessarily to affect people. They're just doing it to protect
Yeah,
themselves.
sometimes they don't even know if they,
Yeah.
like, sometimes they don't realise if they're doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So
just,
have you exhibited toxic?
Oh, 100%.
So why did you do it?
I did it to feel safe within my own masculinity. So,
Insecurity.
yeah, of course. To protect myself from feeling insecure. Do you get me?
But did you affect other people? Do you feel that, what was it like,
100%,
me or him?
100%. I
So you
definitely
had, yeah. So toxic masculinity amongst men seems quite normalised in ways, but it's actually someone's got to lose. You've got to have the alpha. You've got to have
100%.
someone right, and I think that's an interesting one
even,
to talk
even,
about.
even in a, like a friendship group, if you're in a group of not now as adults, but even a little bit, let's be honest, there's always going to be that level of banter, and there's always going to be that person who feels like they're the
highest, yeah.
All
like,
right.
Yeah.
There's always toxic masculinity in a masculine group. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I guess it just feels bad depending on where you fall in that pecking order of things. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
So it's,
and then and if you start off low in the pecking order, when you get up, when as you start to rise, you'll start to display toxic masculinity traits to the people that are, in a sense, under you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Especially when you're growing up. You get me? With my little cousins, brothers, even in a family environment, it's like that.
Yeah.
Like being in a group of males you're always gonna find toxic masculinity, I think.
I went to a boys' school. You went to a boys' school. Did you go to a boys' school?
Nah.
Going to a boys' school for you.
oh boys.
Did you notice? It doesn't have to be necessarily toxic masculinity, but it's just like Ashley, and TT have been saying. I've been saying just that. Level of like, how did you handle the sort of big alphas and the big characters? Were you one of them?
No.
Or
Not at all.
did they bully you? Like, did you? How were you affected by that?
Yeah. Hey,
Well, it takes a man to admit that. Do you know what I mean? It's masculine to admit that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm always
A
honest.
bit some toxic
I'm
dickhead.
always
Like,
honest.
no, I wasn't.
Like,
But he's just trying to be
yeah,
toxic. He's trying to act.
yeah.
He's trying to act like he. Yeah, not
No.
you, but you know what I mean.
no,
You're
I felt
open.
like growing up, I felt like I was trying too hard to be one of those people that had that kind of toxic masculinity. Like it could be something as simple as the new trainers around. This is back when the new Hirachis were out. Everyone was on the Hirachis. Like I really wanted it. I wanted to get one to fit in. Do you know what I mean? Like that was how I really wanted to be. So I always tell my mum, I want this Hirachis, this, that, or kickers. Like, do you know, when you got kickers, you feel like you fit in a certain category. Like, you just, like, I don't know, like, I can't really explain it, but it's just like, you try to fit in to be one of those, like,
There's a
out
pressure.
from
There's
yeah,
a pressure,
it felt like a little pressure for me, like, to want to be as good as them, but then, obviously, I was young back then and naive, so I didn't realise that those are the kind of people you don't want to be, and then I didn't realise it myself, but I was just being different, and
It's so ironic.
yeah, like,
It's so ironic that trying to be the big man, you're actually showing insecurity or weakness. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some characters, I'm not going to name where, but when you're just being a bit observant, and you think you're acting, you're showing yourself to be the opposite of what you're trying to project.
For me, some of it is about, again, taking it back to the alpha and the beta. Some of it is to do with the opposite sex as well. You want to seem like, you're the top, you're the prize pig in the barn.
yeah, yes,
I got that. You got that kind of, do you know what I mean? And you're gonna draw the best gal and all of this and all of that.
Is it the man that waiting outside McDonald's? Literally.
Do you know what I mean? And then I think some of it is also, especially in this generation, because unfortunately it still happens in our adult lives.
100%.
Some of it is just about, I don't like even using the word clout chasing, but it's like, I want to be spoken about, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, and you're going to hear me by force. I want to be present, like when I walk in the room, you man know I'm here. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's sad to see sometimes because I'm a very observant person. I just sit and I let people
Love that.
do their thing.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I'm quick to check it as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to know, especially with you guys, if there's like, you've been in a friendship group or whatever and someone's displaying that toxic masculinity, do you check it or do you just let them continue?
Absolutely. Otherwise, that's not a friend. That's for me. But Ashley? Sorry.
See,
You
it
have to.
depends. I guess because our levels of toxic is different. What's toxic to me might be normal to the next person, and what's normal to me might be toxic to you. So aggression, to me, that might be my level of toxic. As soon as I start displaying aggression and start being a bully, that might be where I say, nah, that's my line. Stop that. You can't do that around me. But man, showing off on certain things, I know that's just how certain men are, isn't it? Yeah, might not like it, but that would be my place where I'll check them. Do you get me? I wouldn't check them at the place where they're displaying that kind of toxicity.
I agree with you.
For me, as soon as it's aggression, violence, intimidation, man have to check it.
Yes.
You get me?
Yeah.
But other than that, because every man do their thing different, innit? And the thing is, some man's toxic traits actually works for them. Do you get me? So I can't tell a man what to do if it works for him. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, I just do what works for me. You know what I'm trying
If
to say?
it's toxic, how can it work for you?
So like you said, the peacock thing, the loudest in the room. A smart woman's gonna say that man's an idiot, but he don't want a smart woman. Though. He's trying to attract the idiot guy, and the idiot guy don't want to say, yeah, he's the coolest man in the room. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, he got what he wanted out of that. Do you get me? He knows why he was doing that. Do you get me? So that's I'll leave man to play their. I leave man to play their own game. Do you get what I'm saying? Unless it's obviously threatening or intimidating or like that in danger or something. You know what I mean? You get me? Some people just don't have that social understanding. You get me? They're not aware of how they come across and how people are perceiving them. You get me? That's one thing that I'm kind of lucky that I clocked early. That I clocked how people perceive me straight away. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing with toxic masculinity. A lot of the time, people just don't know how they're being perceived. I don't think it's necessarily something that they do on purpose, unless it's in a group of man. You get me? When man are amongst man, it's on purpose. I think you get me. But I don't think outwardly it's necessarily on purpose. I just think, like you said, it's an insecurity or man are doing it to.
Yeah, like you don't know what the person's going through in that time of the day, or you don't know what they're thinking when they, do you know what I mean, when they perceive someone like you, me, or Jonathan, or do you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's a sticky one.
And you know what it is as well, which I don't think men take responsibility enough for. It's teaching boys the correct way to be.
Exactly.
Yeah? And I think that's the only real time where toxic masculinity has to be properly addressed. So these young people understand what it is. So they understand how to talk to women, how to behave around women. You get me? Even how to treat each other and how to respect each other and show love to each other. You get me? That's something that we was never taught. We was never taught how to talk to women properly. The only way we learned how to talk to women, like I was saying in that episode that you haven't sent to Roger,
It's coming up, guys.
Yeah, is about the music taught us how to be to women. The music taught us how to call them bitches or to treat them disrespectfully or to not trust them. All of these kind of things, all of these little lines that we learnt from tunes or learnt from certain kind of
You're listening
music.
to the wrong music, Benjamin, because if
You
you listen
was
to the
listening
baby
to it as
making
well.
music,
Don't act like you don't listen to him.
they're basically telling you our woman wants to be treated.
Yeah, but
There's clues.
yeah,
There's
but
clues
remember what we're
there.
saying.
I should have taken notes.
But who was the alpha male figure? It weren't them R&B guys.
Give her a compliment.
It was the rappers though. It was the rappers that was the alpha guys. You get it?
Now, just hold on, Ashley. Going back to when you said, because I didn't have a father who raised me. So when you said there was no other option but how to treat with females in my household. I'm not saying I just wanted to say that just in case Mum's watching and shout out to Marjorie.
You tried to do that.
No, because it's important because
cold,
because it's like This like in closing, I suppose, because we've kind of got to go on to the next thing, which is can't wait for this one, and it does lead to this actually, because
He's such a terrible liar.
like this whole toxic masculinity thing.
Can't wait for that one.
No, I mean it.
Shut up, Jonah.
No, I mean it.
Just close the topic.
Oh, we've done mine. Thank you.
Just close the topic, bro.
And done.
I mean this. It's been this has been on my mind a lot, and do you know what? This is why I love doing this podcast, because as when something's on your mind, you can talk about it, and the points that you lot have said. Selfishly for me, it's been really refreshing because I needed to get some perspective. So thank you.
I do feel like the topics are very bridgy, yeah, because we could almost say that toxic masculinity is one of the reasons that single parenthood has become
Exactly.
such a trend. I'm not saying it is the sole reason, but if we don't accept that it could be a factor, then we're just being dishonest. You get what I mean?
It definitely
And
is.
we're not dishonest men.
No.
Get me? We're very honest men.
Yeah.
So we can say that toxic masculinity may have played a part to the fact that there's a lot of single mothers out there. Yeah? Maybe.
For some.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Allegedly. Yeah?
Allegedly.
Cool. So the reason why I picked this topic,
Yeah.
the reason why I picked this topic, yeah?
Yeah.
If you no, I'm joking.
Yeah. How was it? I'm ready.
Let me just move my chair.
You get it? You know what? The reason why I picked this topic is because I do feel like this generation and the generation before ours, the single parenting is more normal than it is to have two parents. Like it's normal to be in a single parent home now. Do you get what I'm saying? It's almost weird when people say, I live with my mum and my dad. You look at them like,
Say
what?
You've got it
Like that? Yes. I have to be good, cuz. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
Get me? It's crazy. So, I know most of us here, I don't know your family home, but I do know that we are all from single parent home household.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear what you got to say. TT, could you give me a little brief background on how you grew up and if it was
Okay.
Yeah.
Give you a little synopsis.
a little.
So I grew up in a two-parent household.
Oh, she got it.
Going good.
Okay.
Privilege.
Yeah, you say that. It weren't that
Imagining.
though, because I grew up in a very strong Nigerian household, and it was where like a child should be seen, not heard. You know, so both parents worked. We went to school. We did all of that, but there wasn't. Do you know what I mean? We didn't get the, like, say for instance, I've got people that I know that come from single parent households that travelled and done all of that, and I'm like, yeah, I think I went to America one time, and they're like, yeah, but you got mum and dad. That's all.
Right.
It wasn't the same. We didn't live the same life as others. So, not to say that I wish I had a single parent household just so I could go on holiday. I'm not going as far as that, but I grew up in a two-parent household, but it wasn't all it was cracked up to be.
Did you feel that Did you feel that some of the people you knew who were in single parent households
Lived
had
a better life than me.
had
Oh,
it better?
100%.
For what reasons?
You only got one person to answer to.
Yeah, that's quite one person.
It's not a gang up thing.
Yeah.
So you ain't got two people breathing, like getting onto tag teaming and doing all of that. You only got one person to please. Do you get what I'm saying? And I also have siblings as well, so it's like I'm not a victim of my circumstance, and I stand firm in that. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't have the best upbringing, but it didn't change the fact that I wanted to bring my children up in a two-parent household. Do you get it? So I'm the mother of 3, and yes, they're all by the same person. Shout out to the baby daddy. because that's the shock when I tell people I've got 3 kids. Like, same dad.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the point.
People just naturally ask that, don't they?
Yeah.
That same question after, you hear that all the time.
So I literally just say it before you ask me that. Yeah, I've got 3 kids, same dad. Knock it
I
on
don't
the
think
head.
we would have asked that, but people would ask that.
I get it all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And it has its challenges because you can't pick them out the elders catalogue, you know. But it was a firm thing for me, and that's no disrespect to women that don't have the same fathers for their kids and whatever. But it was a stereotype. But it still is a stereotype.
Yeah, it definitely is.
That you have more than one child and you've got multiple fathers of your kids. Obviously, circumstance plays a lot into that.
And vice versa with having bare baby mothers as well. You know, it's just
It's a Jamaican thing. You man, I'm just.
don't do that. It's a Niger thing as well. Don't try it. It's a certified Niger thing as well. Yeah, but let's not digress.
Just have to sprinkle my mouth.
It's a Boris Johnson thing as well.
But it was important for me that I wanted to bring my children up in a 2-parent household also.
You know what I was gonna say, from your point about feeling like the 1-parent household children had it better. What I do notice is that when one parent isn't there, the other parent may overcompensate and give the child everything they want and make sure that they have everything and look like they have everything because they're missing. You know what I mean? Which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm
Not
just,
in my
I'm
case,
just
though.
bringing it to
I
that.
was just going to say,
No,
you can say yours, because I'm going to say.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I remember going holiday with my family. Like, I remember most times going on holiday with my family, mostly me, my mum, my sister. Like, my dad wouldn't really, he'd stay back, work and stuff like that. But it wasn't until after the divorce that we were broke. Like, house was broke. Like, we were struggling. Like, I remember having to find the first job at 16. Like, 16 years old, trying for a job. Like, I didn't think it was, you know what I mean? I was getting EMA. That didn't come true. You know what I mean? Man, fighting through all of that, man. Like, all of that. And it didn't take me until I was probably, 23, probably to go back on another plane. Like, and that was all from my money. I worked hard for that. Like, I worked for that. And I think I definitely gained a sense of independence more. Like, obviously, like, it was always, as a kid, you go out when the lights on, you better be back home. Like, that was it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like, or
when they
or getting whooped, licks, like, literally. And I don't know, when I was just
This mom's going to be fuming when
probably
you weren't meant to say that. You weren't meant to disclose that on.
I wasn't. Oh, sorry.
No. I'm talking about.
He
He was disciplined because he deserved it.
But
All that.
okay, allegedly.
It's a bit late.
Yeah. People have rewind, you know. Like, you go back. Hold on.
Channel V2.
What did he say?
He's back.
He's back, you know.
But yeah, this was a really topic I wanted to talk about for a while. Not gonna lie. Why is there a lack of trust between the community and the police? Personally, me, I've never been arrested. I've tried to keep a clean sleep there. No criminal record. I mean, keep it cool and calm and collected. But I don't like being able to go out and then sometimes I'm feeling a bit intimidated, threatened when the police are walking around and then sometimes you'll walk past and you'll see them on a power trip or some form of like, it's like they're stopping someone, stop and search, and it's kind of, you're wasting your time, but they're still doing it. And then there's so much more going on outside, like, do you know what I mean? Like drugs, raids, bank robberies being planned, and I just feel like it's a waste to have to, I don't know, to be like, I'm trying to explain it. It's like, you don't want to be scared, but then it's like, because you know you haven't done nothing, but then you're going, let's say like example, you walk past a police officer, a car, like I've gone, like I've been around like certain areas, I've walked past and I've seen the same police car turn around and it's gone the same road following me, and it's like, what, just because I'm one person by myself, got a hood up, I'm labelled as a potential criminal suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, how would you guys like to elaborate on that, please? Ashley,
I want to hear you.
I
you think
definitely want to hear
First of
you.
all, I just want to say that I understand what you're saying. And the point, I think the larger point of what you're saying is you've never been involved in crime.
No.
You've never been arrested.
No.
Yet you still feel intimidated when you see police.
That's what
Yeah.
I was
You
going
get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You still feel, and the thing is, I'm sure that someone from a different demographic at the same age as you doesn't have those kind of feelings. Do you get what I'm trying
Not
to
at
say?
all.
And I think that's significant. Do you get me? I think that's significant, and it's nothing to feel like embarrassed about, because I think most black men share that feeling that you have. Do you get me? Which I think most people wouldn't be able to identify with.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Absolutely.
That most people don't share that same fear that most of us have. Whether you got something on you, whether you got nothing on you, whether you done nothing or something, doesn't matter. You're always going to feel like that. No, you're not always going to feel like that, but you always end up feeling like that.
Yeah. Honestly.
Obviously, I grew up in an area where there was a lot of crime. Do you get me? So police stopping and searching was something that we grew up expecting. We didn't really even understand how degrading or how much of a violation of our rights it was. We didn't understand. For us, it was so normal that it was almost like entertainment. You get me? Like, we would be there, we know you ain't got nothing, so you're just being rude to the police. Like, what, bro?
This is
causing.
yeah.
You're just playing up to the stereotype.
And that's what I'm saying. And it's them man them that makes it worse for them.
I guess so, but they're playing up to the stereotype because it's normal. What I'm saying is, it was the area is a crime area, it's a gang area, yeah. So if you're with more than 3 people, yeah, which is more than 2 people, you're liable to be stopped. So that means we were stopped every single day.
Wow.
So they knew us, and they still continue to stop us, because in that area it's normal. We used to have our friends' mums walking past us, like, upset. Like, what are you not doing? You get me? What? Like, making a scene. We're like, but it's nothing. Like, for us, it was so normal. Like, it's nothing. But it is something. Because what they're doing, they're installing fear in us from kids. Other kids at the same age, from a different demographic, don't have to go through that. Yeah, they don't have to be in that level of fear doesn't have to be installed in them from 11 years old. Do you get what I'm trying to say? No, other people don't have to go through that, and I think that is a major point. No one else has to go through the kind of things that we have to go through from kids up until adults. We're 30 plus. Now we still go through the same things we was going through at 11 years old.
Would you call
still
this,
getting stopped and searched like one's a kid?
Would you call this profiling? Were you profiled?
100%.
You're right. So I've, as you know, I live with a police officer who's a friend of mine. This is why why just come on the show, man? I would love him to be on the show for this. He says hello to you. Like, it'd be great for you to have a I've known him for 23 years, but anyway. Sorry, TT. When you meet him, you know he's a great guy.
Hey, my dear.
See, lack of trust. But the point is, the point is,
What's that to?
you've met my friend, and he really
On a first date basis.
See, this is what I had to say this.
You
just
bet.
so, because there is a lack of trust. But okay, that I don't know police. I don't really trust police.
Live with one.
Yeah, he's my friend though. I've known him. Yeah.
What is police?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
This is
No,
good.
but see, that's what I'm saying.
He looks like.
It's the status of the name itself that makes it so
Exactly.
No.
But all I wanted to say is, I ask him a lot. I ask him a lot of stuff, which I think is, what real, gangsters do, man. Like, getting the information.
Now you can't do the gangster thing after you just
Anyway, jokes aside, but the point is, it's like, if they get, so they see you, and it's just like an excuse to, we're gonna get him, and that person. It's like they just get orders from, and I'm thinking,
Is that what your friend told you?
that's what I'm not saying it's true. I don't think I am so fascinated to try and understand how they can justify targeting a group, a race of people, who are young, and then there's others
But this is
out
the
there.
point. It
This
doesn't
is the
matter
point.
about age. This is why it's
Okay.
a problem.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
It's not even just young.
Yeah,
You don't matter. You just
Tell
have
me.
to be, just have to be
This
black
is-
on the wrong time at the wrong
It's been
place.
the most informative
wrong road.
podcast.
Alright, so you have to think of it because obviously me and Ash, you grew up in the same
Yes.
area, right? So
Unlike me.
and so it's just like one of the main things that you have to look at now, because I'm a person, I like looking at everything from a statistical point,
Yes.
right? So the areas that we live in, yes, it's very like culturally diverse. However, we tend to make up the majority, right? We make up the majority, yes, even though it's a small percentage. Same thing if you go back through every single topic, you will notice that there's a trend here. You see that small percentage that do the madness,
Represents.
they
is-
use
is
that to
seen as
represent everything
whole.
else.
Yeah.
But then, on the flip side, what ends up happening, just like what Adrian says, is that he feels now that he feels intimidated by their presence. You see, for me, when I was younger, like as I said, it was fun. Like, don't even get me wrong, it was jokes. But it's because you know that right now they're literally wasting your time.
Exactly.
We're young. We're literally chilling. We have nothing better to do.
Yeah, and they've just
It's one of them things that if you're not doing this, we'll probably be going to go find something to do, which might end up like beefing people or just having play fights or whatever. So right now, all you're doing is just taking up some time that we're not doing anything with.
It's
Oh,
an
so you're
issue.
giving us something to talk about
Yeah.
when we're going to go sit back down.
Yeah. So and you understand, and then then it becomes something that you like story that you go, oh, you remember when I got. But anyways, you see when I like obviously growing up and everything, I realized how to conduct myself around the police, right? So I'm not even gonna disclose some of the stuff that's happened, like especially like when it comes to like traffic offences and stuff,
Oh God.
right? But I've never ever got a fine points or anything, and I'm talking madness, right? When I was on, because I used to ride my bikes on the road, a lot of madness, right? But
How did you do
what I've realised, yeah, you see with police, right? I've noticed, like as you said, like, sometimes you see the car spin round. I've noticed this, right? And it's happened every time. You see, if I'm driving,
Especially if I'm driving.
and you see the moment I look and I make eye contact,
Oh my!
Yeah.
You know they're coming, you know they're spinning.
The eye contact and the speeding
and it's one of those things where, like, you know, like when you make eye contact, especially if they're already looking at you, and you make eye contact, and if the eye contact goes over the shoulder,
Oh,
they're
that's
spinning.
it. That's it.
Whereas with police, yeah, you just have to treat them like they don't exist. Literally. The only time they exist is when they start talking to me. And when they start talking to me, it's just like, I'm not even going to be like, yes, officer, or whatever. I'm not giving any entitlement to them. Literally, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I stopped. And the guy told me to come out of the car, and I was like, why do I need to exit the vehicle? Have I committed any crimes? But it's all about how you do it. And then I remember he was like, oh yeah, we'll just feel a lot better. And I was like, why would you feel much better? I was like, I'll tell you what I'll do. Because it was in the night time. I literally pressed the thing, so that all the lights were on in the car. And I was like, I took my key out of the ignition and I put it down on the passenger seat. I was like, I'm not coming out of the car, it's cold and it's nice and warm in here. How can I help you, officer? Right? So then he was like, he wants to check my insurance, all of this stuff. I was like, it's a traffic car. It's got ANPR. You can see that the car is insured.
Exactly.
So the only thing right now that all you need is validation of who I am. Am I correct? And he was like, okay, yeah. So then after that, gave my license. After that, I was on my way. But I think that because we're so busy being stereotyped in general, people don't even get to learn how to actually deal with it when they come face to face. And most of the time, the first interaction that people have is always going to be negative.
That's what I think. Yeah, I agree with that.
TT, what can the police do then? This is going to break my friend's heart. I can't wait for him to watch this. I genuinely can't, because I think it's really good for the police to have direct. You hear from the community side. The police need to do more to create trust. Ashley, TT, come on, please. I mean, like, this is actually really
It's
important.
not down to them to
This
create
could-
trust, though.
Well, they create a narrative. You get me? And the narrative's been the same ever since black people came here. Do you get me? I was watching. I can't remember what it was called, but it's set in the 60s or the 70s. You feel me? And there's no the same way that they looked at black people then is the same way they look at black people now. And we've been here for 2-3 generations. You feel me? So.
But what when the police argue, yeah, but he had a knife on him, like he had a gun on him, and there was a reason why there was grounds to arrest.
Alright, if you arrest someone who's committed a crime, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
arrest
yeah,
someone
yeah.
who's committed. It's easy to stop you. They don't. What my point is, if you're white, 30 years old, you don't have this fear. If you're black and you're 30 years old, you still have the same fear you had at 11 years old. Don't sit right.
I feel like some white people do it. It's just not.
No.
It's like a high.
It's different.
No,
It's
no,
not-
no.
it's a
they
whole
don't.
different
I
grade.
even I know
Are
it's
you-
definitely different.
what-
It's got to be because they haven't.
No, look
they've
how
been
harassed.
harassed.
That's
they're not
treated
harassed.
differently.
Even these little youths, I worked in a school with bare white youths that do crime. I'm sure they're not getting stopped and searched every day. Bro, my daughter's 8, cuz I got stopped with her 2 weeks ago. No, not even 2 weeks ago, last week. My daughter's an 8-year-old girl, bro. I now have to explain to her why these things happen to her. She knows her dad works. She knows her dad looks after her, takes her out, buys her stuff. She knows her dad is not a criminal, bro. She knows her dad's a good man. You get what I'm trying to say? But yet she has to watch her dad get stopped and get handcuffed and searched, all of that. Unmarked car. They jump out, talk about don't move. I said, my daughter's in the car. Let me just bring her inside. Then you lot can take my name and search us, whatever. Yeah. The white man, the white police officer, he said to me, okay, cool. The black police officer, yeah, was like, don't let him bring her inside. Yeah? My daughter's looking at me scared, bro. I know they're not allowed to do that, but they done it. And that's my point. They don't care that they're not allowed to do it when it comes to us. And that's my issue. They don't see our children as children, bro. My daughter's an 8-year-old girl. The man didn't want me to let her bring her inside. So he wanted her to see that. He wanted her to see that we're more powerful than your dad.
And it goes back to what you're saying, instilling fear in us.
Installing fear into our children. The same way they installed fear into us as children. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I don't know if girls used to get moved to ham. Yeah, so, let me know.
It's a sticky one because there's been situations where some people have been portraying that they feel intimidated by the police and they want to start switching it up when the police come and stuff, and it's like you're doing exactly what they want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I'm saying? So like it's almost like bearing the chip on your shoulder that you didn't earn. You, Becky, have got no reason to be scared of the police, so continue about your way. Do you get what I'm saying? All you're basing your fear off is stories you've heard, things you've watched. That's not your life. So you should not be feeling any kind of way because it's not happened to you. And obviously there's lots of 6 degrees of separation. But in my instance, I went to an all-girls high school in Brixton. Shout out Charles Edward Brooke, gang. But they would, it was one of those, and we got stopped a lot of the time. And you ain't got nothing to tell me, so I'm not going to speak to you. It's as simple as that. And what a lot of it is, especially in today, they don't know their rights. Just like you said, an unmarked car can't do that. But that's the thing, I know these laws. I know what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. So I will check you back and I'll be like, well, you're not allowed to do that because X, Y, and Z. Yeah, but don't start stuttering around me because that's when I start getting a bit.
Glasses come off, right?
Glasses come off and you start
Front
flowing.
hands.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you should know what you're stopping me for. I've told you the way that you're approaching me, that's not the way it goes. Do you get what I'm saying? And they can't chat to me after that unless it's something that I've done. I've never been arrested. I've spoken to police in a conversation as to where they've tried to check me, but it doesn't work. You can't touch me because I have not done anything. And in the way that you're approaching, nothing's been done. I've been on my way home and I've seen a little boy getting surrounded by police at the bus stop, and people are just walking or people have got phones out. I've literally walked over and been like, yo, you're right. He's like, yeah, auntie, I don't know why they're stopped. I will play auntie. I will put on, hey, my dear, come. Your mother just called me. You better just... And I'll get him out of there.
Yeah, that's
because
it.
you don't... I can see what you lot are doing. It's like, does it take 4 of you to... Look, this one, you can't even... These trousers are falling down and you're coming to now give him ag. It doesn't sit right with me. So where there's a lack of trust, that's come from, obviously, stories that we've heard and things that some people have been through, but not the majority, like you said. Do you know what I'm saying? But then as adults, as educators, we now need to be like, okay, this is what it is. Don't get me wrong, I've got 3 boys and I've not had that conversation with them yet. I will do, but it's about approach and whatever. I don't want to tell them you have to be afraid of the police. You ain't got to be afraid of the police because you're a good boy.
Flipped it, yeah.
Don't make it say, oh yeah, that's the boogeyman. And if you go outside and your trousers look like sock and your jacket, walk innit? Don't let anybody or any schmaddy tell you anything different. We've got to change how, not to say to trust them, but we've got to change that narrative that they've bestowed on us. We've got to take that control back and be like, okay, we know how you lot stay. Duppy know who for frightened like it goes, isn't it? Do your thing. But just know, this, you're not going to touch it unless you're coming correct and unless you've got reasonable grounds. So tell your bedroom. No bother.
I hope he's engaged in this conversation because all police should be. That's my point.
I love that. I never said
Just say because don't get me wrong, he may be a great guy, that's brilliant. But just like we are stigmatized prior to them even knowing our names,
this is it. Yeah.
we do the same to them.
Yes.
You said you live with the policeman, I said.
And that's good. That's healthy.
I'm sitting
You
upright now.
see, like, I thought you were going to leave. I was like,
Then the first thing she said, I'm going to get the chair right back next.
That's exactly what I said when I got here. My chair is by the door because I don't. This is not a setup thing like that.
that's what police have created, unfortunately.
And it's not just police, it's even the way we are between ourselves, because you said it was the black man that said that you can't take the door around Sunday. So it's like you, my dear, had the problem. But it's okay, because you know how to deal with it.
Let's go to the real source of the problem, Boris Johnson, but anyway.
They treat black people different to white people, and it's unfortunate to say, but it's always been the case. It's not new, and I don't think it's ever going to necessarily change, because even in black countries, the police treat black people differently.
That's
Do
depressing.
you get what I'm trying to say? It's all about
That's
power
so
over
depressing.
people.
Power status.
Yeah, it's about power over people. More than it's about racism.
It's
about us not being together as a community. Because if our community was together, it wouldn't have the power to do that, and it wouldn't feel brave enough to do that. Other communities stick together hard, bro.
Legit.
So they think twice about treating them a certain way.
It's easy to infiltrate the black community.
Too
camp,
easy.
though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always a couple of white cranks in there.
You know what I'm saying?
Couple.
I'm taking it lightly.
Some rusty ones.
Again, it's about education. You just got to know your rights. You've got to know where you are, who you are, what you stand for, and what you've done. Because it can be collapsed when it's time, and then they get boomy. That's why they get boomy first, before you even get a chance to open your mouth and say pimp to anybody. They come on the Aggie thing, and it's like, if you react the same way that they're giving it to you, you just cause it. If you are
They're
calm,
gonna draw you in nicely.
if you are calm and collected, they look like the idiot. Sometimes silence is the best response for a fool. And
Hold on,
in this case,
wait. Can you say that one more time, please? That is quotable. Yeah.
silence is the best response to a fool.
Amen. That's it.
And it's like, no disrespect to your bedroom, but police them move like fools nowadays, so give them the silence. They don't need to hear nothing from you. And I'm not talking about a no comment or what's your name, no comment. Because no comment can get you banged up, innit? That's what another thing people need to be educated on. I didn't snitch, I said no comment. You don't realise by that no comment, they've just built the case. So again, education.
This is why we're having open discussions about things. This is why we're trying to come with heartfelt topics that actually hit us personally.
This is why we do this.
You get me, and that people can relate to. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm gonna swiftly close. That was an amazing show. I just want to big up TT Superfly for coming through and sharing your words of wonderful wisdom with us.
So much. Like, comment, share, please.
And subscribe.
Subscribe as well.
Yeah,
And subscribe.
Guys, if you've got any ideas for topics, or you want to give us your opinion on the things that we spoke about today, make sure you put it below in the comments. Thank you, guys. Do you guys want to say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to TT. Ashley, thank you as always. It's been a while since I've seen this. It's been a while. Adrian, I missed this. I needed this. I love my life. I love everything I do, but this is a big part of my life now. I just want to say thank you for watching. And these topics today.
Catching his throat.
Today.
Careful, you might release John
John
on
on
TV.
TV.
You don't want to release him, you know he can get savage.
Just showing my appreciation. Thanks.
Age.
No,
Cheers.
the police topic was a very good subject. I felt was good to bring up, and I feel like everyone touched it beautifully. Like, honestly, everyone had their own part, their own piece, what to say, and thanks for, in a way, educating me to be aware of, do you know what I mean, for the future, next case scenarios, and it's just planning and preparing yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like this is all it is now in life. Now we're planning ahead to do the things that we need to do
conversations take us
to
forward.
get to this is it. Like, and feeds man still gets me pumped up.
Good. Don't hurt yourself, my brother.
Gym tomorrow. Yeah.
Again, a great display of toxic masculinity there. On that
I'm
note,
intimidated.
I've been
I'm
Masters.
leaving. I've been Hawks.
And this has been the Hawks and Masters podcast, guys.
With Adrian Albert. Thank you so much. Our special guest TT.